All right. Hi, everyone. It's Jake from Win to Pass, and today I have my top 8 PPG Origins Tri-Brigade list. I believe it was 116 man. Don't quote me on that tournament. I made top 8 with this list. I want to say shout outs to my friends Nick and Zach for helping me with the list. And yeah, let's get into it. I have my very nice top cut mat that they gave me as proof, I guess you could say. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the list, and I'll explain stuff as we go along. So for the Tri-Brigade monsters, we have the 3 fractals, the 3 kits, the 3 Nervals, and the 2 Karasses. There's nothing to say there, really. That is standard. You can't play any more of these, and honestly, I never needed the 3rd Karas, ever. And then the last of the Tri-type monsters, we have 3 Rescue Cat. Honestly, this felt like the best monster in the deck all day long. Every time I normal summoned it and activated its effect, it resolved, which was kind of insane. And if you resolve Cat, it just feels so hard to lose from that position. And then hand traps, we have a Gamma package. This was pretty insane all day. If they did it on my turn, I would just make an Omega with it, rip another card out of their hands, or honestly, using it offensively was pretty good. Against Drytron, he made Mu Beta, and I Gammaed it and pretty much ended his turn there. Then for the rest of the hand traps, we have 3 Ash and 3 Valor. And that's it for the monsters. It's a monster-heavy deck. It's the way I chose to play it. This is pure Tri. And then for the spells, we have 3 Forbidden Droplets, 3 Pot of Prosperities, and then Foolish, Tenki, and Called By. This was it for the spells. I never felt like I was missing anything. Plus, I mean, we are playing IO, so 9 spells. That's all you needed. Foolish was like just really good all day. Using this to send Kit as either bait or start your plays was just kind of insane. I think I only activated or drew Called by the Grave once, I believe, all day. 7 rounds of Swiss, and then I played 2 rounds of Top Cut. And then Forbidden Droplet was just the MVP all day. If this wasn't in the main deck, I would not have made Top Cut. I can almost guarantee it. This card was just absolutely bonkers all day long. It got me out of a lot of situations and board states that I should not have been able to get through. And I know it's expensive, but it's mandatory at this point, I think. And then we got the 3 Imperms, Revolts, and then the 1 IO. I still think this card should be banned, but until it is, I'm going to play it. Imperm, just another hand trap, so we're on 12, not counting Driver. And then Revolts, everyone's favorite. Honestly, most of my my games went, I set up Appaloosa, get the Revolt, and have whatever other piece of interaction I have, set this, and then end up flipping this, and then it ends their turn pretty much. And then you have Shrek on board, and you just make access code with the Tri-Brigade, you search off Nerval, and kill him. And that's how most of my games went. They were rather short. So for the extra deck, I'm dropping my cards all over the place. We have the 3 Shrek. This is pure, so you want 3. I did end up using all 3 in one game, so it was very nice to have it. 2 Blossom. Yeah, you need 2 Blossom. I don't have anything to say about that. 2 Bear Brum. I mean, it came up. Again, you have flex spots, so I would definitely say playing 2s a little more on the mandatory side. I did definitely like having 2, though. Rugal, I made this quite often, honestly. If your turn 1 play gets interrupted or just doesn't feel great, or depending on what you have, you can just end on Rugal, and it's not that bad. 1 Eagle, I use this to put back Torn Scales and some other stuff. It was pretty decent all day long, but most of the time you're just using this to put access code. And then we have Double Dragon Lords. I actually didn't summon it too much, but when I did, it felt good. And then we have the 1 Appaloosa, Almirage, and then that's access code Talker, Lambda, and Cypher Blender Omega. I did not make Lambda once all day long, but it was nice having it, because if you resolve a Gamma on your turn and you have another Gamma in hand, you can just put this on the board to make that Gamma live, and it's just kind of insane. And then Omega. This was just a hard punish, so if they played into a Gamma on my turn, make this rip another card out of their hand. It was great, honestly. Whenever I made Omega, it just felt like I couldn't lose from that position. And then from the side deck, we have 1 DD Crow, 2 Ghost Bell. I did not miss this either of these in the main deck at all day. I only played against Tri once, and that was round 1, and I ended up ghost spelling his Revolt game 3, and ended up killing him there. But yeah, I never missed having this in the main deck. Another thing is, I also noticed a lot of other people at this event didn't have this in their list, or at least if I played against them, they didn't, or they didn't draw it, because every time I activated Revolt, it resolved. And then we have the 3 draw unlocks, and then the 3 Nibirus. I only resolved Nibiru once, and it was against Tri, but it did win me the game, so I would say it's definitely a must include in the side deck. Droll just put in work all day long. I mean, it's draw unlock, my dude. That's it for the monsters, spells, and traps. We have 1 Duster, 2 Twin. These are great. I don't think I ever drew the Duster, but Twin was really good for just clearing out back row or getting plays started. And then we have 3 Solemn Judgment. You bring this in going first, and just nope. Honestly, every card in the side deck came in multiple different games. So if I was going into another tournament blind and didn't know a lot of it was going to be played, I'd probably keep the side deck the same. However, there were a lot of Altergeist and Eldritch, which we were not prepared for. Eldritch is fine, just because I can banish all their Gordon Lords, but Altergeist is different, and that was my one loss in Top Cut, was to Altergeist. And my one loss in Swiss was to PK because I played really bad. My opponent was also really good. So my matchups were Tri-Brigade, played against 1 Tri, 2 Drytrons, 1 Earth Machine, weirdly enough, 1 PK, 1 Dinosaur, and then 1 Dragon. The deck list felt great in every single one of those matches, especially against Dragon Link, because I just had Droplet, and it didn't, whatever his board was, it didn't matter. Just activate Droplet. Another thing a lot of people were playing in the side deck though was Lancia, which is, it's good. Like, don't get me wrong, but every time they Lancia'd me, it just felt like it didn't really matter. Like, I couldn't kill them that turn, but half the time, if you Lancia under a cat and you don't respond to the cat, you can still set up Revolt with just cat if they Lancia you, and you have like a discard for Karis, which is kind of insane. So one of my games I opened just the Absolute Stones. He Lancias me, but I have cat and Karis and something else in hand, so I was able to establish Appaloosa with Revolt without having to banish a single monster from the graveyard. Yeah, that felt really good, and yeah, it's just like every time I got Lancia, sometimes it would just make me pass a turn, but they never had enough to kill me after that. I mean, it was weird, especially because Dragons was one of those decks, but just the sheer advantage that you can generate off Tri-Brigade and the amount of hand traps you can play to just tell your opponent no, it's just insane. Especially because we can play during their turn via Revolt. So if you're already in an established game state and they Lancia you, if you can still get to Revolt or you already have one, it's like, okay, I'll just do everything on your turn. But Droplet put in so much work on Saturday. It was kind of insane. I never sided out any copy of it. Every game, it was just all 3 stayed in the main deck. It was great against Tri, because when they Revolt you, you just slam down the Droplet, so they don't banish your card. It was great against Drytron. Well, in theory, it was good against Drytron, because this is your out to Herald. But all of the 2 Drytron matches I played, they never got to Herald. Between hand traps, I also believe, yeah, I won both the die rolls, but also I had just had a ton of hand traps for them, so they were never able to establish any kind of decent board. And my first Drytron opponent I drew IO against, so I mean, you know, go figure, right? But yeah, this deck, the way it was built, it was kind of made just to counteract Drytron and Tri-Brigade, specifically those, so that everything else you can generally outgrind with Tri. So that was kind of the thought process when we were deck building, is you can outgrind anything else just by virtue of your engine and Revolt just taking away your opponent's cards and giving you more cards. So we just built to our advantages against Drytron to make sure that we don't lose those, and it worked. I 2-0'd every Drytron player in less than 2 turns. Every match was less than 6 turns total for Drytron. It was just kind of insane. They just never could do anything against us. Also, Shadal Dogmatica invoked. That match was just way too easy. Especially because if you have an Ash, they just kind of fall apart. Like, I won that die roll 2. That was my top 16 match, was against him. My turn 1 board, so I ended with Ash Valor in hand. I had a droplet, a Revolt, and an Appaloosa for 3. So normally this would be hard for a lot of decks to chew through, but especially that deck. He started off with Shadal Fusion. I ashed it, and he essentially passed from there. I mean, he resolved into Deer Servant, but he got his Ecclesia. Well, he dumped Appclone. I negated it with that. He summoned Ecclesia, and then I Valored it, so now Apple's load 2, and he can't crash over it with Ecclesia. And then he bricked the next game, and that was it. So Tri-Brigade, really, this format, I still think it's just the best deck because it's just so versatile, and you can put whatever you want in it. I'm playing 12 hand traps and a ton of ways to see your engine. So every game I opened at least 2 hand traps plus like a starter, and it was kind of insane because just being able to have, so if you're going first or second, it doesn't really matter because you always have enough hand traps to keep up with your opponent or shut their turn down, and then you get back over to yours, and then boom. Another thing I didn't have because I didn't have access to it is Crossout Designator. I could have bought them. I didn't feel like wasting the money though, and I also never missed it because a lot of people just weren't playing that many hand traps, or if they were, they didn't see them, which was kind of crazy because I only got hand trapped like 5 or 6 times all day, I believe. Which if you're going to an event and you're only getting hand trapped 6 times, and I played in 9 rounds, then you're set up for success. So another big thing of why, if I was going to go to another event like that today, I'd play this, probably this exact list still, just because of how consistent it is. I mean, you're always seeing the stuff that you need, which is very important, especially when you're in a long event. I could have played Virtual World, but I was afraid of bricking, so I didn't feel like doing that. And another thing is, this deck is just so resilient. So a lot of times I would, if I thought my opponent had a hand trap, right, I would just, I open like Fractal, Cat. A lot of times if I had Cat and something to bait it like Fractal, I would throw the Fractal out, they'd Ash it, normal summon Cat, activate Cat, and then you're golden from there. Another big thing is, like I said about Cat, if you can stick this on the board and then activate and resolve its effects successfully, you pretty much win the game from there because it just sets you up with an amazing board state. And if your hand's good enough, you could Appaloosa for 4 if you felt like that was necessary, if you were playing against like Drytron or something. But I always just did Appo for 2 or 3, and it was always just fine. Yeah, I'm making this video kind of late, so I'm kind of blanking on some of the details from the tournament. The only matchup that felt like kind of bad was definitely Altergeist. The fact that most of their interaction is trap based and they have multi-figures continually grab them advantage did not feel good. There's definitely some things you could change up in the side deck for them. However, when I played against them, I never saw any of my side deck pieces in any of the 2 games past game 1. So it wasn't great, but if I would have seen some of these, maybe it would have went differently, but it didn't. So that's where we are. But I'd probably play this exact list again, and I probably will be playing it for a little while. I'm going to see how I can incorporate crossouts into the list, or if I even need to, for that matter, just because the deck's so resilient and is so good at playing through things that it's like you almost don't need crossout. But that's just a personal opinion. I definitely still have to have to test it out. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and I'll get back to you. Thank you.